had hair. I mean, you still got hair, but there was hair.
You still have hair. I'm lucky. I'm lucky.
Very funny.
No, nothing personal. Bald is actually the new cool. I mean, back in the 80s, if you were losing your hair, it was like, don't hire him. Don't put him in the band. Now it's like, if you're not bald, you're not cool.
Yeah.
So.
But it was a cool video, though. Yeah. So,
you recognize him as a young boy, Mr. Leto? Crazy, huh?
Yeah, in my imagination, I would have recognized him more, kind of. But now that I know, that there's like, I will have a German question to the guys watching us. So, ist es für euch okay? Wir haben das jetzt nicht übersetzt, weil wir hier nicht das Gefühl hatten, dass ihr das irgendwie braucht. Aber wir können das uns gerne nochmal, also nicht alles, aber ein paar Highlights zusammenfassen.
But there's also one question that has been popping up. Who is your favorite metal singer? Like of all time, doesn't matter what.
Metal.
You can't pick yourself though.
No. I mean, I'm still learning, but it has to be metal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can choose two, like one metal and one that's not. But this
metal,
is just because
I really, really have to say Rob Halford. There's two for metal. I'm going to cheat. It's Rob and Bruce from Iron Maiden. Those two guys have stood the test of time and have spawned so many, including me, singers. I mean, without those two guys, I mean, you look at what they've achieved and how their voices have held up. And number three, probably the greatest rock singer alive, in my opinion, hard rock, would be Paul Rodgers. That guy has the perfect hard rock voice. And I have spent years trying to figure out how he can be so smooth and soulful. So then I go back to the old Otis Redding albums and things like that, and the old soul Motown stuff, and I go, that's where he came from. But metal singers, I would have to say Rob Halford. I mean, who can deny that? I mean, there's a lot of guys that are fabulous, but when you talk about the metal god, I mean,
funnily enough, I mean, when I was browsing YouTube today, of course YouTube always gives me metal videos, and there was Loudwire. I don't know if you know Loudwire. They actually gave that same question to pretty recent bands like Stick to Your Guns and all those bands, and pretty much.
I love Stick to Your Guns.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like everyone was like Bruce Dickinson, Rob Halford, and that was pretty much. And a lot of them also said, although he's not the great singer, they also said that Ozzy Osbourne pretty much coined and shaped how we perceive heavy metal. And
natural. I mean, Ozzy was kind of this blubbering idiot, wasn't he? In the old days in Sabbath,
he still is.
He sings along with the bit, and I mean, he doesn't really, but it's how he does it, and just his whole character, and he's kind of like Udo to me. I mean, Udo, in my mind, is a great personification of the German scene. I mean, this guy. He's unique. And I asked someone once, what is it about Udo Dirkschneider that people are so crazy about? And somebody very important looked at me and said, he's one of them. The metal crowd. And I went,
one of us.
And I went like this. I said, oh my God, she's right. He's one of them. And people relate to him. I mean, he has this personification of, I come from the Zolingen. I come from, I'm metal, and I'm Accept, and I'm Udo Dirkschneider, and his name is odd. His presence is odd, but there's just something about him, like Ozzy, that resonates with the metal community, And then Halford, I mean, you look at the guy and you just go, wow. And then Dickinson with his athletic ability and that voice. I mean.
But
So
there was one thing that we should not forget, because that was a name that also was dropped quite a lot, and it was just mentioned in the chat, and I was like, oh God, how could I forget Dio?
Oh yeah,
Roy James Dio.
You know what? Forgive me, Ronnie. I of all the greats, I'm sorry. I should be slapped for that. I mean, he's probably, of those three, technically better than the other two. I mean, Ronnie, even till his year of death, was delivering, that the Bible Black and that tour. I mean, the guy was in serious pain, and he gave his fans everything. He always cared about his fans.
Yeah.
He would talk to you, and he had a memory like an elephant. I mean, amazing. The guy actually listened to you when you spoke to him, and would, he would engage your conversation. He was really an intelligent guy.
So when you talk about this, you have all these great stories, all the people it's like all the names you're telling us about, and then you say one day there's a hit. They tell you, well, that's going to be a hit, and then you said just a couple of minutes ago, 3 months later, you didn't have a job. You were looking for another job. So how does someone cope with like being on top of it, and everybody is telling you're the next star, you're the next star of the metal scene, and then you're back on a farm? How do you do this? How do you cope with those different lives?
I went into a really deep depression. Anxiety turned into a complete alcoholic. I'll be honest. Drank myself nearly to death. Drugs, anger. God, it was, why me? Why did you give me a taste of it and pull it away from me? I saw a lot of bands that I really didn't think had much talent getting just absolute people falling over backwards for. And the thing about the grunge movement that I did think, this might last a couple of years and things will calm down. And it did. It only lasted maybe 3 years. And the really weird thing is the only surviving guy, one or two of them, is like Eddie Vedder and maybe another one. But most of those guys are gone. And they flipped music on its head. It kind of taught, one thing I did realize, like when you asked me, in LA, what they did, they tried to find a David Lee Roth looking guy with blonde hair, or Brett Michaels guy, put him in a great band with a great shredding guitar player. And they did that over and over and over again. And I think the public just went, I'm tired of this. And in my country, especially, things were kind of going south with the economy. And in Seattle was a really down place, raining all the time. And these guys came out talking about, hey, my life sucks. This is a killer riff. It grooves. I'm talking about what the young people are thinking about. He doesn't look prettier than a girl. He looks like me. And then I felt like I failed. I was dealing with this mass sense of failure. Like, where did I go wrong? And I went through all that really bad. And I got an attitude about rock and roll where I didn't even want to talk about music. I hated music because of the business. The business takes all the fun out of music. When you're in a band and you're the leader, you're the guy on the phone, you're the guy on the emails, you're the guy doing all this business stuff. And then you got to perform, Yeah. And I really became so disheartened by Hollywood, who you blow, who's got the good Coke, who's got the nice house. And most of those people you meet are miserable fuckers. And you think, well, man, you've got everything in the world and you're crying to me about your life. I mean, I'm out here kicking and punching every day trying to do it. I got really angry about that, but there's a fighter in me. I needed a break and I took it, and I'm back stronger now than I was then. I personally think I had to go through a lot of ups and downs, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So nowadays, there's a quite like everyone can put out their own music on Spotify, on streaming and so on. So pretty much the middleman being the industry, which you just described. I mean, they were greedy fucks and killed the music, killed the emotion and everything. Everything was put into templates, like you just mentioned, like you have to have this kind of hair and that, blah, 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 blah. So nowadays, you must like that. Nowadays, the musicians can, if they want to, can take back music. If they are talented, they can pretty much become the next, be it first internet star.
Look at Sabaton. They proved it. Look at Shinedown. They've proven it. That's an open door, which is a better platform for rock and roll bands. Because in those days, if you didn't go along with the flow of the corporate maniacs, they dropped you. Here today, go on later today. I mean, that was the mentality. They went through like a slaughterhouse of cattle. I mean, you were in and out and dead and gone tomorrow. Now, one thing I can say about the record company that I'm with, El Puerto, and I'm going to give them a plug. It's a small label, but you got three guys that really work very hard at, they listen to me. And if I'm not satisfied with the situation, I can actually call them and say, nope, nope, nope. And I can tell you, and there's any artists that are listening to this podcast knows what I mean. You were terrified to say no. Now you're given the opportunity, because of the way the mantra has changed, where there's not 80,000 bands that need to make 1 million and have 1 million seller that are terrible. You can speak up, and vice versa. They can come to me and say, you know what, we're not satisfied with that. And you can actually have a conversation, because we're all kind of struggling now. It's a different medium. I mean, it's a different time. I mean, it's not so corporate. I mean, you have that. I mean, they can make anybody as big as they want. Money can make people buy shit. I mean, you see it all the time. I think what really killed the music business were these voice shows. You know, Germany's Got Talent or America's Got Talent. I think that really took the. I mean, how many of those people do you remember besides Adam Lambert and a few others? I don't even know their names. No. I mean, Kelly Clarkson. I mean, she's kind of they make jokes out of her, like Steel Panther. I mean, you know, but I don't remember any of those people. It's like I was talking to Kathleen, I think, about drive-through music. It's like you get your French fries and you've eaten them before you even get on the main road. And by the time you hit the roundabout, you've eaten the burger and you forgot what you had for dinner 2 hours later.
Yeah. We use them for celebrity shows, like Jungle Camp and stuff. So we put them in shows nobody wants to see. So that's what we do with them, basically.
Right. Yeah, but America, for example, I mean, America has been leading the it's kind of like very negative. There's a negative connotation about it, but if you look at it, like those SoundCloud artists, they actually are big now. They're selling out shows, and they don't have an agent. They book their shows themselves, and they still, I mean, like Lorna Shore and bands like that who grew up saying, okay, we want to do exactly this, and we are doing this, and we know that there is social media, and we know how it works because we're digital natives as well. And I mean, I can produce a complete album in my. It used to be in your bedroom, but nowadays, it's all so accessible, and I think it's good that a lot of talent that would never have rose through the ranks in the old times, as you mentioned, nowadays can actually do it, and America is doing that with SoundCloud, and I really like that. But
one thing I noticed that changed about bands too, in the old days, it was so cutthroat. I think with these platforms you're mentioning, a lot of the bands are on the same level, and they're using SoundCloud and this stuff, and they're helping each other. Yeah. You didn't see that before. You know, I mean, you had the hot dog on Sunset Strip. You weren't going to give up an inch of real estate. Now it's leveled the playing field, if that makes sense, where you see bands like Sabaton, you see bands taking out bands that nobody even knows who they are, but they happen to go into a bar one night and say, wow, these guys are great. Come out and open for us. Yeah. Sure, they're going to pay, you know, a couple of $1,000 to go do 2 weeks and, you know, sleep in their car, but they're getting that mass exposure from those bands that had built from nothing, like you said, but they're willing to give them a piece of the pie. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, there's still a lot of competition, don't get me wrong, but that's a good thing that I've seen spawn out of this. And I think this coronavirus has put a lot of these guys who, you know, do 40, 50 shows a year are sitting at home going, what are we going to do tomorrow? What is going to happen? We're all in the same boat now. And
they're all on the same level with that. No
absolutely.
shows.
Yeah. And just like the working man, the working woman, we are all sitting here going, what's going to happen in 6 months? And it brings you down. It pulls you down. And you go, okay, let's make good use of this. You can't even book a show really now. You know,
No.
you can postpone it till next year and put the same lineup.
Yeah, we have one more question from the chat. Someone is asking what another life, another time, what the video, what's the meaning of the video? Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, my brother Bob did that. I mean, it's not mass produced and, you know, a bunch of lights and girls and smoke and fog. My brother and I have recently reconnected. My brother's a Marine and I'm his big brother. And we were kind of separated as children. And he's actually out of the service and gone through some pretty serious things because of the military. And he's designing photographs. What he does is he touches up photos for a business now for families. Oh, I've got my grandmother. I wanted to, it's kind of eroding. Can you fix it? And he started doing that. But he's kind of reached out to me in the last few years and said, I've always looked up to you. I'm so proud that you're my brother. I wish I could have done what you've done. And I've actually felt the same about him. He's my tough Marine brother, and my nephew's a Marine, his son. And, you know, I support military, and I'm very, it was just humbling to get to know him again. So he came up, he goes, can I do a video for you? This song, Another Life, Another Time. And the song, actually, the title came, can you put the dog out? The title came, I was in Bulgaria flying home with my wife, and we try to sit next to each other when we can. And in this particular day, there was a guy in between us, and we were talking, leaning over, and I couldn't hear what she was saying, and she couldn't hear me, and she goes, Another Life, Another Time. And bam, that was the title. So then I kind of wrote a few words down and sent it to Andy Susamil, and he came up with that beautiful melody, that sad thing. And then getting in touch with my brother Bob and giving him an opportunity to show his talent, he had saved all the photos from us as little boys, an 8mm film of the good times when we were little kids, because we separated. And he put together Another Life, Another Time. It's the concept, and it's my career, the band Dare Force. You see me in those crazy leopard skin spandex with the leg warmers, you know. That
you still got them?
Oh God, no! I melted them. I think I put them in a bonfire. But I didn't mean it that way. A big fire. I burned them probably, but I mean, I wore them so much they probably would, you know, be put into a COVID-19 cell because they were so bad. But you know, it's just basically a reflection of my life and my brother.
I have the video already up on the other screen, so I'm pretty sure we have to watch the video.
Yeah.
But the background story is fascinating. I mean, it's I'm a single child, so I wouldn't know, but that sounds.
And then go to, at the end of the video, whoever sees it, you know, he's got his company there, and I just want to give him a plug. He's really trying hard. He's dealing with PTSD, combat stress, many things, and we're actually working on another video together now, and yeah. I'm very proud of him.
Well, then I would say we listen and watch this video. And after that, we still have to talk about your new album, which recently came out, and the tour you did. And that's what we're doing before we're done. So let's listen to the video, and then we're talking about your new album. We're back. Well, this is a really nice song. I already feel like I can sing along. Take me back home. Well, I can't sing. So I won't do that. No.
But that's pretty much the most important thing. That, I mean, there are obviously songs that that offer too much diverse and different different things that you cannot sing along from the beginning. But
I have to give credit to Andy Susamil on that. He arranged it. He produced, arranged, and mixed the album. He did a fabulous job as a guitar player. He's amazing.
that there's no English word for that, because I already asked my friends, but you know that there's a German word for a song you can't get out of your mind? There's a single word, Ohrwurm.
Ohrwurm?
It's like ear and worm.
Yeah, Ohrwurm.
Ohrwurm.
Yeah, it's stuck in your ear, so
yeah. And
you
it's
can't get the song.
Especially with songs you hate. So someone is like, no, Batman, and you have it in your mind and you can't stop it.
Drives you crazy.
So,
yeah, that's happened to me. I thought I was losing my mind a few times. Like I was like, please make it stop. You know.
My son is 4, and he's really good at working with Alexa. Mm-hmm. And now he's always asking for songs. I'm like, no, not again, not this. like kids, like children's songs, and you're like, oh my god, I cannot, and you can't leave the building. I mean, you can't just get away. It's just like when I'm
quarantine, we're trapped.
Yeah, and I can't just say, okay, Alexa, stop. Because that, I mean, he's always stuck. He's also stuck here, and I like when he listens to music, and he's been to festivals with me, and he's pretty much, into the very, very heavy, very fast stuff. Awesome. And I remember we came back from Wacken 2018, and he just turned 3. So that's pretty early to be at a festival, but we were just in the back because we're not allowed in front of the stages. And when we came back, I was doing the dishwasher. I was unloading the dishwasher, and I was listening to Foo Fighters, I think. And he was like, "Dad, why is this so slow? This is not this is not good." And I was like, "Okay, what do you want to listen to?" And he kind of learned Cannibal Corpse, and I was like,
"Really?
That's too much." And at the end, we I think it was Creator at the end, but it was just like, okay, my son is telling me that I'm listening to too slow music, and it's just like, okay, but you're not even. He was not even 4 at that time, but nowadays it's just like I know that when he was just very, very young, and I was changing his diapers, I was playing Metallica's Dyer's Eve from the Injustice, and he was rocking out. He was not even
his legs, and
he was not even able to stand up, but he was just like, so it's crazy.
Beautiful, isn't it? Music, man, it's music.
Yeah, it's I could use a German word for that because we have so many long words in German, but I just say I'm trying to train him early, because I'm still
for everything.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get him into Tool, because that's pretty much my favorite band. But
nice. You're a Maynard fan then, huh? You're a Tool guy?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, that guy is, I gotta have the words for that guy. He's amazing. I mean, he's creative. I don't know what it is. They had this thing called the it factor, and some guys just had it written all over them. And he's, his visions and his lyrics and the tempos and the grooves, and that's a guy ahead of his time.
But it's Tool. It's like this. It's a team effort, really. I mean, with Tool. Yeah. But Maynard also does, of course, a lot of different stuff. So but this is for another time, because that's prog metal, and most metalheads would say, okay.
Wink when you say this. Another time. Well, I said we're going to talk about your album. You just released an album, and you were lucky because you did a tour before all this started off with Corona, right? So you could go on a tour, and I heard that you're now, or you told me, and I heard it from Malte, and that you're also now writing a new album, because, I mean, what's to do while being in isolation? Yeah. So how is the album? Because the reviews were really, really good for the album, right?
It's okay. I released Resilient Heart in 2018, and I got really lucky because another podcast said, why don't you try to get on the UDO Steel Factory tour? 2 Except singers, see if they're interested. And I said, screw it, I'm going to call him. I called the manager, and he goes, it's weird, I was just talking about you today. I've got 10 shows, you want them? I'm like, yeah. So I played a lot of Eat the Heat on that tour, but I showcased the heavier side of Brazilian Heart. And merchandise people come to you and tell you how much they hate your guts and what the album didn't mean to them and how much it means to them now. And then they say, you know, I love this album. And are you going to continue in this heavy vein? Because that's where we really like you. So you take that all in. And then I would watch Udo every night as much as I could, unless we had to get in the stinking van and drive for 8 hours, you know, with a bunch of lunatics. But, he's listening. He knows what I'm talking about. But what happened was after that tour, the two guitar players left the band. And I had met Andy Susamil again in Stuttgart. Excuse me. And I looked at him. I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I need to be back up there with you." So when they left the band, and I called Andy, I had 8 shows left. And I said, I need to make a new album. And Andy put together the song Metal Voice and Blood on Our Hands, because I said, and we had a song, the song on Chasing the Shadows on the album Cacophony of Souls, he and I had recorded that, written that years ago. And the stupid label put it on the running order on the box, but didn't put it on the disc. So I go, we got to go heavy. That's where we're going. Stay heavy. And he goes, we're putting Chasing the Shadows out. We're re-recording it. We're going to modernize it. So that was kind of the template. And the song Cacophony of Souls, I'd written the lyrics to that against the music in 2017. I always loved that one because it's got the low voice part and then the big power vocal thing. But the album process was incredibly fast. Malte, I played with Malte now. I've probably done 4 albums with Malte. And Malte is a night guy. And when I go to Malte's house, I usually am worn out because I've traveled all day. And I'll crash at his house, especially if we're heading north and we play Hamburg or wherever and going to Scandinavia. And he's wandering around his house in his shorts with a bass or a guitar or something, and he's playing riffs for me. And I'm going, please, God, shut up. I need to sleep. And he started playing Collective Anesthesia. And I go, did you write that? And he goes, yeah, man, but I've done so many albums with people and nobody really wants, I want to showcase my songs. And I said, play that again. And I went, oh my God, that's fantastic. So, and then he played Perfect World. And I said, man, you can write. And he goes, yeah, nobody cares. Nobody asked me. I just play my bass tracks and that's it. So what we did was we focused on that. And then Andy's, I can't say enough about Andy as a guitar player. Susamil, he's you know, you get a lot of guitar players that grow up, like say in Germany, they learn every Michael Schenker lick and Gary Moore lick available. They can play it forward, backward, you know, but rarely do you find a guitar player who has their own style and you know it's them, like Schenker does. And Andy has his own style. And Andy is an incredible songwriter, a gifted singer, great producer. I mean, if you listen to the sonics on this record, it's amazing. The songs came together so fast and we just blasted through it. And I think this is the best album I've done. I really think I hit it with this one. It's one of those albums I can listen to all the time. And we actually played Blood on Our Hands and Metal Voice live on like 8 gigs we did to finish up the tour last year. And some people said, is that the new stuff? Yeah, cool. That's great. So that set the template, you know, Chasing the Shadows, Cacophony of Souls, and then, you know, Collective Anesthesia. That kind of was the direction. And then now that we've been put into prison with the COVID thing, I called Malte. I said, Malte, let's start writing another album. And right now I have 3 that I've done with him. And there's another one I'm working on. Andy has parts. And I should mention, Andy's got a solo album coming out in the fall. So he went right into production on that with himself. Super Meal and Friends, Andy Susamil. Peter Baltus from Accept plays bass on that album, actually. Yeah. And Andy's a super talented guy.
One big family.
Yeah, we're all connected because of Accept. I mean, and Udo. I mean, we always end up going back to each other. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I met Udo while I was doing Eat the Heat. He's always treated me with utmost respect, been great to me. I met Andy because Andy and I were kind of the black sheep, of course, while we were in new bands. So he and I'd go out and get shit-faced and raise hell and get in trouble every night by the management. But we bonded there. We've been friends for 30 plus years, and I think I've hit a stride here, a direction. And the next album is going to be really heavy, like this one, but a little heavier.
Yeah.
Still melodic, but I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, I got some pretty monster songs from Malte this last few weeks, and I just finished the lyrics and sang them on the phone to him, and he's like, "Yep." So after this lifts, I'm going to go demo those tracks.
Yeah.
At the studio, which actually was Codogno, Italy, where the first reported case of COVID was reported. I was in the studio at a music school in that town and finishing some songs. And literally a week later, I was told I couldn't go there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's some weird virus. They've closed down my village. And they closed the bridge from my house to his house, which was 15, 20 minutes away. And then my village started getting hammered. And then it just exploded. So we're just taking time and writing a new album. And hopefully, I've been shuffling shows that I had planned. We had like 30 dates confirmed this year. I'm trying to push them over into next year, but it's really tough because a lot of bands are vying for those open days. And the venues don't even know if they're going to be open, which is sad. They don't, we don't know.
Yeah, we also don't.
So, uncertainty, yeah.
Be honest, with all those songs, how do you remember the lyrics?
I don't. I'm terrible. You know what? I'm one of the worst. I think about, okay, what are we playing? And I look at the set list and I can't remember anything. And as soon as the lights go on, bam. But I do have cheat sheets. I got to be honest. I cannot. It's weird. I can remember lyrics of a song I wrote 20 years ago right now. And then if you ask me to sing Cacophony, I'd probably get about halfway through it and just embarrass myself. But it's a weird thing. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's kind of embarrassing.
No, it isn't. I wouldn't remember it either. So
it's insane. I mean, it's like, I don't know how a guitar player can remember what key he's playing in, or the riff and do it every night. I mean, if you play like multiple shows, it's like robotics.
Yeah.
I don't have the money or the crew to have a teleprompter throwing the lyrics up in front of me, in time, like a lot of guys do. But we're all kind of guilty of it. I know a lot of singers. If you're following a band and you know every word, and that's the wrong verse, pal. You're singing the second verse and the first verse. Oh, okay. But it's rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be no limit.
So from those, if is there a song or a video from the 2 last albums you made we can listen to, or if not, is there a song or a video to a song you wrote and we should listen to now that's important to you, that means something to you? Just choose one and we will listen to it.
You know what? I'm doing a new video right now for a track, one of my favorites on the album, and the song is called Judgment Day, and it's going to be really cool. I'm in the process of it. I must mention that the first video for this album was done for Metal Voice, and it was done by Randashi, a friend of mine.
Yeah, we watched that when Malte was on the show.
Yeah, he did that for me. He's been a super friend and been there for me, and his friend Angela Balut does all my merchandise. Without them on the UDO tour, I would have crashed and burned. They really helped me with a lot of extras that I needed done. But we're working with another director for Judgment Day named Valerio Fia. And if you know my album Resilient Heart, there's a track called Two Coins and a Dead Man. He and I put that together, and he was really a gifted director. Also, my brother is working on a track, but that's in the infancy right now. But I would like to hear Judgment Day. I think that's going to be the next baby that I release, probably in the middle of May, in a video.
Yeah. Can we listen to that, Philip, or we find a version?
Do you have it?
I did some research. I have 2
I'm
points.
so prepared. This is so professional.
I'm
impressed.
Of course,
Don't worry about it. It's like forgetting lyrics. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
What were we talking about? I'm sorry. I'm kind of missing
Judgment
the last
Day.
5 minutes. No. I actually opened 2 Coins and a Dead Man, so I'm going to change
but that was the album before. I'd like to focus on Cacophony. I mean, I'm so happy with this album. Judgment Day.
And they
Holy Diver.
There you see, you see.
Holy Diver is the song of my favorite band, Killswitch Engage. Holy Diver. Yeah, they have a song called Holy Diver.
It's not the Ronnie Dio one, is it? Did they copy it? Did they do a remake? From,
I have no idea, actually.
Really?
But, I just love the song because
you've been running along in the midnight love. Oh, what's the no?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
You should do a version.
Oh yeah, that was.
I
great.
love this song. It's a great song.
The Dio song.
Yeah.
That's all
I actually have a tattoo that says "All in Due Time" because it's not because it's a song of them. It's because it fits me so good. So like, give it some time. It will all figure out itself all in due time if you just be patient. And this is like it's a mantra for my life. But it's also a really, really great song they did there because they say all in due time, shadows will give way to light. And it's just like, they have really good lyrics. So, and I love the song.
So important. That's another thing we talked about with songs. I mean, I'm a lyric guy. I do not like baby, baby, whoa, whoa. That's, loaded gun. Whoa, your love is like a, okay, that's kind of a baby, baby, whoa, whoa song. Yeah. But I'm kind of gotten away from that. And I want to write stories that have something to say and interpretation. I mean, everybody interprets a lyric differently than the other.
Yeah.
Right? So I have Judgment Day here, but there's obviously not a video yet.
Yeah, but one more thing before we do that. You did that with the video we just saw, and you told us the story about your brother and that you're kind of in contact again. So this only impressed me. It impressed all the people listening to this. So lyrics are really important, and it can just give you a connection to a song. And if we talk about Killswitch, there's another song, and they're all screaming, and everyone I know who's not listening to metal is like, wow, this is just screaming for me. It's like, yeah, but it's a song about his mother, and she died, and he is singing about something and saying, I mourn for those who never knew you. And this is just such a strong line. And this is something you also did, I think, for the song we just listened to. So
it's really poetry in motion. I think lyrics are poetry in motion. No matter how you present it, it's a liquid thing. And love songs, hate songs, aggro songs, politics songs. I mean, you can say a lot in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I like to listen to people talk. I like conversation like this. I get inspired. I scribble down little ideas when I hear somebody say something that could turn into a verse. The news.
That's the magic, right? That people feel like, oh, he's talking about something in my life. Yeah. That's exactly what happened to me. I can relate to it. Maybe there are like 2 or 3 lines that are not exactly the same, but you get the general feeling of what you'd like to say with the song, and people are like, I felt the same way. I don't feel alone anymore because this like famous person, like he felt exactly the same. He felt down, he felt high, exactly like me.
We're all people, man. It's the human emotion. I mean, nobody, nobody's got the answer. I mean, I don't think, but I think.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. Just have
that. If I could have all the answers, I would just disappear.
Well, there are quite a lot of people who actually claim they have the answer, but it's just
good luck with that.
Yeah, it's just for money usually. I mean, it's just like, I have the answer. Give me like a couple grand, and then I'm gonna put out a videotape of me telling you what the answer is, and that's just.
Here's how to make your life work perfect for you. This worked for me. Just send me 1 million euros, and you will be a happier person.
I thought it's 42.
Yeah, usually is. I mean, but only if you have a towel and everything. Yeah. So I have it on my screen from Cacophony of Souls. So should we listen to Judgment Day then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn it up.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So we're back on it. I guess as a last song, we have to play Holy Diver now, because everyone's like, Holy Diver, Kathleen, how could you not know that? Shame on me. Shame on me. I would walk like the naked path of shame, but I'm sorry, I can't because it's Corona. So,
Lucky for you then.
yeah. Well, unlucky for you, but yeah, lucky me. So we're close to the end of this. There was so much fun. It's like
You guys are great.
there were 1,000 stories I will remember of this, and I guess we could do like 10 more hours with you telling us stories from your life. And we
Absolutely.
didn't even get to the point where it's like, a bit cheesy. I miss the cheesy stories. Next time we're doing the cheesy stories.
The cheesy stories.
Yeah,
Well,
like
okay.
naked girls and all that, like rock and roll
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I could tell you about the Motley Crue tour and stuff like that sometime. We could talk about that.
Now we're talking.
We're talking about decadence. I mean, those guys are fucking pirates. I mean, in those days. I mean, they're old men now, but woo, I've never seen that level of insanity in my life. And then I learned that Guns N' Roses made them look like Boy Scouts. I mean, so
Crazy.
Guns N' Roses, they were worse than Motley Crue. I can't imagine how any of them are still breathing. But
I mean, I watched The Dirt, that Netflix movie, and that was pretty extreme, but that's just me watching from the outside. Of course, I mean, it's just like, what the hell?
I did. Okay, I'm going to tell you real quick, and this is as honest as I was trying to be noticed and get my songs out there, and I met a drug dealer who was dealing drugs to Motley Crue, and he had an open door to Motley Crue. Okay, he was supplying for Nicky and Tommy, and he called me one night and said, "Hey, you want to get on a plane and go hang out with Motley Crue? What do you say?" No. So I gathered up my demo tapes.
Oh, it's late. I have to go to bed.
I gotta go to. It was like 3 a.m. when he called me. He woke me up, and I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" So he picks me up in a taxi, and we go to the airport, and we flew to, I think, Hartford, Connecticut. And they were like standing around waiting for the dope, And I'm like, now they're gonna hear my songs, and I'm gonna be famous, yeah. But you know what? They could care less about my songs.
I guess so, yeah.
There were naked women. I mean, I've never seen a hotel where we're in Tommy's room and you hear all these screaming girls. Yeah. And we're on the top floor of the Radisson. And I look out the window and there's naked girls screaming Tommy's name, the floor below us, naked, waving. And I go, "Tommy, there's naked girls down there." He goes, "Close the fucking window, man." I'm like, "But there's naked girls." And he's like, "Dude, I see that every fucking day, man. Shut the window." And I'm like, "This is nuts, And girls jumping out of hallways, screaming his name and Nicky's name. I mean, it's just fucking, I don't know how they played, They never slept. I mean, it was like, dude, we've been up for 4 days and you've played every night. Did you go to bed? Nah, I don't sleep, man. I don't care. They were pirates, man.
And that's funny because that's something I obviously never lived that lifestyle, but it's just like something you read about, you see videos, you see like documentaries and all that stuff, and you're like, yeah, right, of course, man, that's fine. Blowing it all out of proportion. But
it was real, and I can tell you that here's another part of the craziness of this guy. The guy that I was with, I knew him, but I'm just saying, "Please, Nicky, listen to my song," and he'd kind of stare at me, and go, "Yeah, that's good," and he'd do more cocaine, and he didn't care, right? I was like, "This is bullshit." And Y&T was the opening band on that tour for a while, and I was hanging out with Y&T. I got to know those guys, and I remember one day, one of the tour managers' name was Rich Fisher. And Doug Thaler and Doc McGee were handling the band. No, Doc was handling Bon Jovi, and Doug was given the curse of handling Motley Crue, right? He had to take care of them so they didn't kill themselves. And I remember being in this room, and Rich Fisher's running around screaming at all these drug dealers and these people that are hanger-ons. And one guy was called Tex, and he followed the tour buses in a Cadillac with a cowboy hat with horns on the front. And he had all these strippers in the back of his car, and he supplied drugs to the band. And Rich comes flying into this big lobby room where the band was partying and starts screaming, "All the drug dealers, get the fuck out of here. You're killing the band." And I'm like, "Okay, time to go home." And he said, "No, you and your friends stay. Your cocaine's the best." It was like, "We got to get rid of all these dope dealers, but you guys stay. I like this guy's cocaine." And I just kind of went, what? I mean, it's fucking madness, man. But crazy times, crazy. That was like 83, I think. 82. Oh, it was madness. Fucking madness.
I guess we have to do another time with just those stories. I love that.
Oh God. I mean, you could talk to a lot of my friends and we could tell you that probably go to prison for the stories we could tell. But yeah, those were times where I just stood there like going, I can't believe what I'm witnessing. And you know, I'm happy they're sober and they're doing better. But God, I mean, the 80s were insane.
You know the artist Falco, the Austrian singer Falco, who he did Rock Me Amadeus.
He died, you know.
Yeah, he did. He, actually,
car crash, I think.
Yeah. I was in the Dominican Republic, like 2 kilometers away, on honeymoon with my first wife, and I didn't even I heard it when I was on the plane back to Germany, that he died like 2 kilometers away from where I was staying with my then wife. But he said something very strange. He said, if you remember the 80s, you were not there. And
exactly.
Because he was heavy into coke as well. Yeah.
Fucking fog. And cocaine was horrible, the drug, and it was a problem for me. I mean, I went through it. I thank God I don't even think about that shit anymore, but it was kind of a normal behavior, you know. Everybody, we called it marching powder. If you didn't have your cocaine, you weren't normal. But we were all so fucking crazy, we thought that was normal. You know, it was like just your lifestyle. And nobody was eating. We were just taking drugs and trying to be rock stars. And that's so far from...
Well, you were rock stars. I mean, that was the life.
Yeah, but it was like, when you get in a band like Accept, who don't party, you know, they'll drink a little bit, but you get into this work regiment, you go, this is fucking boring, man. Let's go party. And they're like, nope, we are working. Like, fuck, you know.
Is that the German work ethic then? Would you say?
No, I mean, those guys were smarter than me. I wouldn't call it the German work ethic. I mean, they knew, they toured with Motley Crue. They toured with those bands. They saw the destruction, you know. They were smarter than those bands. That's a compliment, you know.
Nobody knows till now, but we're also an educational show, and that's why I show you a book, Howard Marks. And just because you said those stories, he was one of the biggest smugglers for wheat back in the 1970s, 80s, in the 80s, and liquid ecstasy was legal back then.
Of course it was.
He smuggled wheat in the band equipment of Pink Floyd. So when they did their tour, he put it in their equipment in the plane, and he smuggled it in there. And he took that. So this is something you should. It's an old book, but
I'll read that.
It's called Nice, and it's the best.
There's one book. I mean, if we are going into down the educational route, there's
no school, so we have
no. It's a brilliant book called Wonderland Avenue. That is, there was one guy who actually, when he was 13 or 14, met the band The Doors and became their manager because they were already drug fueled, and he was the only clean head, but he kind of, you know, took a deep dive. And Wonderland Avenue, he's clean now. I don't know if he's still alive, but it's just like at the end of the book, it was just like he nearly died when he was doing heroin, and because that was the drug of that time, obviously. And he said the day he became clean was he nearly died between the legs of the girl he was dating. He was
a good death.
I'm not. No. He was nearly. You know, he did not get air. So I'm not going to say what part of his head, of his body was
Still
between her.
To die.
So he nearly suffocated because he was on heroin, and so much that he nearly died. She was asleep. He fell asleep between her legs, and someone saved his life. That was at the high point of the Doors, obviously. So that was before Jim Morrison died, and that book is just he comes from a very conservative background, and he just wanted out, and that was like the 60s. He wanted out, and he left home, he ran away, and then he was, I mean, as a little kid, he was thrown into that rock lifestyle, and he was
Lizard
there.
King. Can you imagine being from the Bible Belt, then you meet Morrison, the Lizard King, who can do anything? I mean, I'll close mine out with Stevie Nicks. You know, we were talking about, because I mean, she knew everybody, and she would tell stories. And I was sitting out by the pool there one day, and I said, "Did you know Janis Joplin?" She goes, "Yeah, I knew Janis. We were kind of competitive, you know, we knew each other." And I go, "Did you know Jim Morrison?" And she looked at me and very serious, and she said, "He had to be the most beautiful man that walked the earth, but what an asshole." He goes, "He was the most beautiful human being I'd ever laid eyes on, but he was a fucking asshole. You know, he just was a drunken, crazy man. I mean, he was nuts. He was a brilliant singer." But she goes, "You could not take your eyes off this man. He was that beautiful. He just had that charisma." She goes, "What a beautiful boy he was." And she said it was terrible what happened to him.
Well, madness and genius are often very close, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could tell war stories for years. I mean, we survived it.
And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good thing. Living to tell the story is the most important thing at the end.
Like Falco said, if you didn't live in the 80s, you weren't alive. If you didn't live through it, you weren't alive. Yeah.
I was just a small child, but I actually was a Falco fan at that time with with 10, when I was 10 or something.
No.
And then I drifted into hard music.
Yes.
Then I got into punk, political punk, and all that stuff, and started fighting my dad, who is a jazz musician. So yeah.
Well, I'm not on the dark side, so with my shirt you can still see I'm on the good. Yeah, it's Leia.
Yeah.
Still on the good side.
She was a mad woman as well, from what I've read. She was quite the crazy girl too.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah.
I can imagine. I mean, she was also that's this getting famous very quickly thing that I cannot imagine how.
No, I can't either. The scene with her and John Belushi and the Blues Brothers, when she's in the tunnel and she's got the machine gun and he talks her from killing him and she's going to murder him. I mean, if you follow what happened during those times when it was complete chaos in America, you know, she was hanging out with Belushi and Aykroyd and all those guys. They were, woo! You know, it was party time, man. I mean,
Belushi especially. Horrible. I mean, there is a reason why he's not with us anymore. He's just he was very crazy.
Yeah, Chateau Marmont. That's where he died.
Yeah. Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. I think
God bless you both.
Everyone is calling for a second part. I mean,
they just want to hear the juicy stuff.
They just want to listen to drug-infused stories of mayhem.
Let me think about it. If I can remember some, and we can schedule another meeting. We can talk about a new album, and then maybe the foggy part of the 80s that I survived, and how I pulled myself out of the shit. You know, I mean.
That would be the educational content then. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you gotta have a positive message, you know. I mean, there's nothing good about dying from a heroin overdose and smothering, like you said earlier. Okay, it starts off as a good thing, but somebody luckily pulled his head out and said, "Take a deep breath, you don't die." You know, so, I mean,
I promise then I will do research so that you know that which stories you can tell, because they're all too far, like in his, like back then, so you can go back safely to the US without being judged for it. Like I will search this beforehand. But I guess that
it's
was
all no. There's always a time limit on that. I think that's pretty much you're on the safe side, or just say it was artistic expression. Of course, you never did those things. It was just like storytelling.
With everything. I think it made me the person I am. I can say I came out of it, and it's probably was good training and conditioning. It was full contact. I was an MMA cage fighter with drugs and party. I mean, I lived it. So,
yeah. But you're not drinking for 2 years now. You said you stopped it.
stop. No, I had to put it down. I realized, hey, you're not as good as you think you are, Dave. You know, I've listened to that track, and you know, a lot of people don't like to be around you when you're drunk, and you know, it's like, wait, what do you mean I'm loud? What, you know, what's wrong with you people? Let's drink some more. And they're like, no.
It's fun.
What's this word obnoxious you're talking about?
Yeah, you call me an asshole. Well, I mean you, and then, you know, don't offend my drinking problem. And, you know, you're drinking as much as me, but for some reason it affected me differently than you. So, yeah, we could get into that political engagement. But no, I'm clean. It's good. I feel good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, let's do a last song for today.
Holy Diver. I already have it on the screen.
It has to be Holy Diver.
The official
Ronnie
video.
Dio. Rest in peace, brother. I miss you, Ronnie. God bless you all. Goodbye, Ronnie.
We will do that, and after that, we're saying a quick goodbye.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Go back.
Call me a traitor. I still love the Kill Switch Engage version because I like the
that's your favorite band. I mean, I understand that.
But I like the growling, and it's like
great band.
Sorry about that. I really love them. They're great.
Yeah, it's a tribute to Ronnie.
Never say sorry for that.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie would be honored. I mean,
yeah, great song. Well, it was a pleasure. It's like I can't say
more than a pleasure. It's just very hard to explain.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm crazy, so I hope everybody realizes that. Yeah. And I think being locked up in this house for 9-10 weeks is not helping.
Of course not. That's something we all can. I mean, in Germany we've been now. Yeah, it's 7 or 8 weeks, but gladly it's not as strict as it is in Italy. We can still pretty much go outside. Yeah, and we just. I mean. Of course, festival season and concert season are pretty much cancelled. So that just hurts because I love seeing my favorite musicians live, and also, you know, going to a concert just because a friend says, right, this band you have to see that band. It's just like 300 people, and you're like, okay, I'm experiencing something new, and I have a new band that I can just, you know, support with whatever I can. You know, it's just.
And you're doing it now. You're doing it right now, both of you. You're supporting rock and roll, and I mean, you're keeping this alive. You're getting people through this terrible time. I mean, think of all the road crew guys, the backliners, not just the musicians. I mean, think of all the families at home who have touring members that are, you know, I mean, it's a trying time. And I really hope people look really deep down inside themselves and realize this is no fucking joke.
No, it isn't.
And, you know.
Well, what we're doing is a team effort. There's a big team. Everyone is like working on it, trying to get the donations to help people. We're really happy that
donate.
So,
definitely.
And thank you. There's still music people can listen to. They can listen to your new album. And now you have to help me because this is a word I really hate. Say the name of your album again, because it's really hard for me to pronounce it.
Cacophony of Souls.
Cacophony of Souls.
Cacophony of Souls. A cacophony is a noise.
I know what it is, but how to pronounce it?
It's pretty much the same in German. I mean, it's cacophony.
I know, but I also can't pronounce it in German. That's why.
Cacophony? Why? That's pretty easy.
It sounds weird in German.
I always come up with these titles that people can't pronounce, like Bangalore Choir. Everybody says Bangalore Chore. And then the Asian people.
I would have said that too, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't even want to hear how the Asians try to say cacophony. It's I try to say it slowly, and then I just say, no big deal. Red Album, David Reece, El Puerto Records,
just buy it. just buy it. It's fine.
Just go.
Yeah, Google it. You know, you can have it pronounced. You know, Google Translate.
There's a nice special version. Malte showed it on his Facebook page, like with a chain and something. It's like there's a really nice version of it, and
I'm still waiting. I mean, Malte wanted to sign as well because I've known Malte for a while now, and
He's an unforgettable individual. I mean, I love the guy to death. He's a madman. I mean, but he is rock and roll to the core.
And he's listening right now.
Yeah.
So Malte, remember my signed album.
Yes.
Cacophony of Souls. You know what I mean?
This may be my fault because I got the allotted number given to the band, and I was unable to go to the post. I know that we all got our metal box from El Puerto, and I think they sold all of those, that little treasure box. But that may be my blame, so forgive me. But you can blame Malte too.
Yeah, we want to blame him.
Because always blame the person that's not here. I mean, you're here.
Yeah, he's screaming right now. You can just hear him at home. God damn it! You know.
I've not received the message yet, so I'm not sure.
I'm sure.
Maybe he's just writing. Maybe he's doing some productive work, and he's actually writing.
Actually, he said that. He said he might listen to this and write some songs next to it. So I didn't want to say that.
Writing a song, yeah.
He's busy.
That's fingers on a fret of a bass, right?
We love you, Malte.
Yeah.
We sure do.
We didn't mean it. We didn't mean it that way. Just with all the love we can.
It's all love.
So.
I'm sure he's had a few Skypes and done some funny things behind my back. So.
Okay.
Oh, David. Thank
you so much.
That's all.
Philip, thank you so much. And
it was a pleasure.
It was great. Let's do it again.
Yeah, the people are calling for a second part, so we have to, we have to oblige.
Okay, I'll have to go through my FBI files and ask some of my rock star friends if I can mention. I'll use different names and tell some stories. I've got a great limo destroying story I want to tell sometime.
You're telling it like you heard of story.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I did.
Denny Rice was going there.
Yeah, I was not alone, but I was in the car when it happened. So I'll tell that story one day. That's a pretty bizarre thing that happened, but that'll be one of my long bullshit stories that I like to tell.
Great. Can't wait to hear it. Then
all right,
again,
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Great
and
luck,
you guys
and thank you for
in the chat.
and donating.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.